So two different, different functions. Attracting businesses, I think, is the harder of the two, and to me, it needs to be very tactical and strategized. In other words, we need to identify. I think we need to say this is the type of businesses that we want, and then we need to look at it holistically and say, well, what do we need to do to get them? What do they need? How do we get them here? How do we promote the community? How do we make it easy as we can for them to relocate here? How do we motivate them to locate here? And then we think we need to put together a strike team, basically, some very smart people that understand that business, and some people that are good at sales and promotion, and go talk to the decision makers for that company and see if we can pull them in. So. And it's hard to do. We've had some luck with that over the years. We've done a lot of advertising with our economic development department and advertised the great things about Gilbert, and that's helped some. But I think you almost need like a tiger team type concept where you say, I specifically want to grab this company or that company or this company and bring them to Gilbert. One of the communities I noticed that's doing really well at that is Surprise. That they have these solar companies. We've been talking about doing solar. Well, I was watching their public information channel the other day, their Channel 11 equivalent, and they got this big solar company bringing in 300 jobs. And they were talking about that. Their mayor was talking about it, how they strategically went out and got that solar company, brought them in, and into Surprise, and made it as easy as they could to have them come in. Now, here's where you get into a problem, is when you say, well, do you incent them? And incentives are not very popular today. They used to be a decade ago. And a lot of towns don't incentivize and don't need to. Some towns, maybe Surprise did on that one. I'm not sure if they did or not. But maybe they did, and that's why how they got them in. Sometimes you got to be careful you don't give away, throw the baby out with the bathwater, that you don't end up paying out a lot of money to try to get a company in, and what's the bottom line benefit? You got jobs, but it costs you money to get them here. And so I think Gilbert is at the point where we don't need to do a lot of incenting. Only where I think it makes sense would I do that, and that would be like if we needed to have public roads put in, and they're willing to pay to put those public roads in, and we deferred those costs, but those public roads benefited a bunch of other businesses, surrounding businesses, then you've stimulated the economic development by deferring some of those costs of the town had to put out by them put it in. So sometimes it makes some sense, but not the big giveaways that were done by some cities. We had a big one for our auto mall, but it was strictly performance based. They had to produce 20 car lots within a certain period of time to get the incentive. If they only did 15, they only got so much. If they only did 10, they only got so much. If they did anything less than 10, it was nothing. Well, it turned out to be nothing, but we did get some car lots in, but the economy faltered, but it was a good thing, I think, that we put in some performance-based results in there. And, so that's one of the things you can do to attract businesses. To retain them, twofold. One is it's easier to retain businesses than to go get a new one. So a little bit of effort goes a long ways, and then you also need to be able to culture businesses. When you got somebody that, to me, retaining, again, it's twofold. One is they just don't like it, or they want to move somewhere nicer. You find out what the issues are, you try to get them to stay here. But a lot of times you grow business. You start out with a very small business. I'll give you an example. There was an engineering firm here on Elliott Road, and they were looking to expand. They were growing their business, and there wasn't anything available in Gilbert for them to move into in the size of businesses they needed to. And I felt really bad because we didn't have anything available anywhere. We tried to help them, and they ended up moving to Chandler. Well, they ended up growing tenfold and employing, I think it ended up like this 50 to 60 people or something, and then originally they started out with 2. And here Chandler was benefiting from this business relocating over there. The missed opportunity was not making sure we had a good blend and diverse group of businesses available for people to move into size-wise, offices and complexes. And at the time we had either really big or really small, nothing in between. So as we incubate businesses, you got to make sure that you have the infrastructure in place, you have them a place to move to and grow into, and where they'll stay. Another business, for example, of a failure was Classy Closets. The guy around the corner from me started that in his garage. He had about 3 employees, and they were making, pre-made closet stuff out of his garage. As you know, it's a big company now in Chandler, and they couldn't find a place in Gilbert again, and moved to Chandler, and so we had another lost opportunity. Those are the opportunities we got to not make sure we don't miss, and make sure we strategically look at that and make sure that we identify what businesses are here and what their needs are, and be in tune and in touch with them, and make sure that we understand what their needs are going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and try to get the community poised to be able to retain them.